What's up, you guys? We're talking AEW Double or Nothing. It's wild to think that AEW has been doing Double or Nothings for about 8 years now. The original Double or Nothing wasn't even a part of AEW. If I remember correctly, it was a part of the Young Bucks trying to get 10,000 people into an arena with Cody Rhodes. I believe that could be correct. And you AEW fans, I want all AEW fans to enter. I want all y'all in the house because I want to know if I'm on point with these predictions, because I'm about to break this card down and I'm about to let you guys know what I think is going to happen. And I need you guys in here to criticize me. I need you guys to show me what I'm missing. Let me know the nuances, the things that I'm not really catching. I need you guys to help me out with that. And also, tip your hat to your boy when I get it right. And if you're new around here, stay true around here. This is the Portal of Pro Wrestling. I am the Wrestling Old Head. We talk about professional wrestling, all different types of professional wrestling over here. So if you're new around here, stay true around here. You know, and I'll tell you what I do around here. Go ahead and hit the like button, the subscribe, and notification bell so that you're always notified when I drop in and talk about professional wrestling. I got some great stuff coming up in 2026, you guys, so you want to stick around for that. So, AEW Double or Nothing is going to be emanating from the Louis Armstrong. Is it Louis Armstrong or Louis Armstrong? I see skies are gray. Or whatever it's called. Anyways, so they're at the stadium, 14,000 people. Looks like it's going to be a complete sellout, and they do have a stacked card. That's the one thing that AEW can do that's second to none. There's not very many other professional wrestling companies, even WWE, that can stack the card with great matchups with great athletes the way that AEW does. Now, the argument there is that the stories aren't up to par with the type of match that you see in the stars that are in the squared circle with one another. However, AEW does nuanced storytelling, guys. They are more like anime, and WWE is more like sitcom, like a TV show. So, and both can be great. Trust me, both can have their strengths. And with anime, I can understand that there is a certain niche that gets into anime and others are opposed to it, strongly opposed to it. The way that AEW tells stories is just a different beat. It's just not on the same pattern that the WWE tells their stories. And even the WWE that we know today is not telling stories the same way that they told not even 5 years ago. So, and hopefully they get back on track with that, and because that is the key ingredient that draws more people in, which I'm sure TKO would be interested in making more cash flow, making more income, so they would want to do that. But this isn't about WWE, and this isn't about revenue or storylines. This is about Double or Nothing, so we're going to talk about it. Let's talk about the first match on the card. I don't know if it's going to be the opener, but it's the first one I'm talking about. I'll tell you that much. International Championship match, Kazuchika Okada against Konosuke Takeshita. This was a match that has been in the making for a long time. I would venture to guess it's probably going on a year, maybe 8 months. And they've been building to it because these guys have been a part of the same stable. The Don Callis compound is what I affectionately call them, but they're the Don Callis family. And Konosuke Takeshita has been honorable. He's been doing the right things. He has been turning down foreign objects from Don Callis. He is angry at Kazuchika Okada for trying to get in between the friendship that he has with Kyle Fletcher. And Konosuke's had enough. And he is going after Kazuchika Okada to finally beat him, something that he has not been able to do. As far as I'm aware, he has not been able to beat Okada. So they're going to give this match time. I'm not even concerned about how much time they're going to give it. I would be shocked if it gets under 20 minutes. They're going to give this match a lot of time because they're going to tell a great story in the ring. And I think it's time for AEW to pull the trigger on Konosuke Takeshita and get him this win to propel him up to the top of the card. The one thing that's great about the AEW is that they have a very young upper mid-card to upper card roster. And they're sliding into the main event and seamlessly looking like they belong. And Konosuke Takeshita is one of those guys. Konosuke Takeshita belongs in the main event. He's over. He's a great athlete. Now they just need to tweak the character. And once he steps away firmly from the Don Callis family, he's got an array of opponents to play with. because all of the guys in the Don Callis family can go after him, and great tag team partners I'm sure are going to be at his disposal as well. It'll be interesting to see if Kyle Fletcher comes out and gives him a hug followed by a low blow. I would be considerably shocked if Kyle Fletcher doesn't pretend to be in favor of what Konosuke Takeshita does, therefore then turning on him. Kyle Fletcher as a heel is way better than Kyle Fletcher as a good guy, in my opinion. Now we're going to move on to the tag team I Quit match. This match was originally slated to be a tag team street fight I Quit match. I don't know why they decided to do that, because all I Quit matches should be street fights essentially. They should go all over the building, out into the parking lot, sometimes out into a restaurant, maybe under a bridge or something like that. They should be fighting everywhere and using whatever they can to get the opponent to say, I quit. Something interesting to note that I don't think any other YouTube content creator has talked about, which is why I waited till the very last minute to do this predictions thread. So those of you that are watching, you guys are real ones, I'll tell you that much. Mick Foley is coming into the AEW, and he's going to work the pre-show. And there is a history between Mick Foley and Adam Cope, who's in this match. It's FTR against Cope and Cage. If I didn't mention that before, I probably did not mention that. So yes, Cope and Cage are going to challenge FTR for the tag team titles in this I Quit match. And Cage and Cope have a big history with Mick Foley. You know, they go back like car seats. And knowing that the history of Mick Foley and Adam Copeland here, I look across the aisle at FTR and I see who they have managing them in Stokely Hathaway. And it really makes sense that Mick Foley here has an opportunity to get involved and maybe bring out Mr. Sacco, LLC, copyright to 2026, and use Mr. Sacco on Stokely Hathaway. I think that would be a huge moment. I think that would get a huge pop, to be completely honest with you. And Mick Foley standing tall with Cope and Cage at the end of this match could be a moment that makes memories and also brings virality to the AEW in the form of short clips all over social media. You can bet your bottom dollar that would be the truth. Another thing is that Mick Foley is really has a history with I Quit matches as well, specifically his infamous I Quit match that he had with The Rock on the Super Bowl Sunday Night Heat in the late 90s, 1999 to be exact. So with the history of Mick Foley and I Quit matches, he's had I Quit matches as Cactus Jack as well, and the history of Mick Foley with Cope and Cage, I feel like it is probably one of the better moves to utilize Mick Foley while you have him in this type of a scenario and get him out there with Cope and Cage as Cope and Cage force FTR to say I quit. One thing that I really hope that they do, which they did not do in the subsequent previous I Quit matches with AEW, is introduce the microphone so that we can audibly hear them say I quit. When Jon Moxley was in his I Quit match, he allegedly said it. Maybe those in the audience could hear it, but we didn't hear it because he wasn't on a live microphone. I felt that that was a really good tool to use in I Quit matches, is putting him on the live mic so that we can hear him say I quit. And one of the great moments of the I Quit match between The Rock and Mankind, at the time Mick Foley, but he was Mankind, the character, was when Rock knocked him out cold, put the microphone to his mouth, and you hear him say I quit. And come to find out, it was replayed over the PA system, something that he said during a promo. I thought that was very clever. Now, I'm not advocating for them to do that this time around, but I am advocating for them to use the microphone, which I think would be really, really useful. And it's not like in AEW they haven't said fuck off a couple times, right? So it's a pay-per-view. So Cope and Cage and FTR, they can go ahead and use their swear jar money and you know, play it off to the game and stuff like that and all that good stuff. I don't know. I just want to hear them use the microphone. I think it would be kind of cool. That's just my opinion, though. As far as who I think is going to win, it's Cope and Cage's match to win here. I mean, they need to win. If they don't, then they're never going to be able to team again. And I don't think you guys want to see that. And I don't think AEW wants to see that either. AEW has an opportunity to really revitalize their tag team division coming up. I mean, there's a couple of tag teams that are on the way to become big free agents in about, 60 or so days. So, you know, Cope and Christian, FTR, the Don Callis family, the OPP, There's a lot of tag teams that are coming up in the ranks in the tag team division in the men's side, and then you can get guys like Motor City Machine Guns and Austin Creed and Kofi to show up as well. It could only do great numbers for the tag team division, a division all across the board that's hurting. There is not a single wrestling company right now with a strong tag team division. So AEW has an opportunity to capitalize on that, and I hope they do. But I got Cope and Cage getting the victory here, and I think this is going to lead in some form or another to the FTR, Cope Cage, and Young Bucks match that was heavily teased at the last pay-per-view, and we're probably going to see that at the next pay-per-view. So now we've got the Stadium Stampede. This is insane, you guys. This is like a football match. This is a basketball match. I mean, you got a full lineup of guys. It's a 14-man situation. You've got Jericho, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, Kenny Omega, Jungle Jack Perry, Matt and Nick Jackson against Ricochet, Bishop Khan, Toa Leona, Mark Davis, Andrade El Idolo, Clark Connors, and David Finlay. Woo! I don't know if they have enough cameras to keep the cameras on every single person. I think this is going to either be a cinematic match that they pre-tape and then they have a couple of incidences where they spill out and go onto the live cam. I can see it going a lot of different ways here. They could also have a match that they just brawl around the stadium. I can totally see that as well. As far as who's going to come out victorious, I think Jericho, the Hurt Syndicate, and the Elite are probably going to come out victorious here. I would like to see the Don Callis family and Demand and the Dogs all kind of get a nice little rub here, because the Dogs haven't really established themselves as a stable that should be considered formidable ever since they started to step into the AEW scenario. Gabe Kidd, obviously he's out right now, but I would like to see him potentially return and get involved in this situation. And they do need a win to kind of establish legitimacy. I think that would be something that would be really good for them. And working with the Demand and the Don Callis family, those guys typically they typically lose on television a lot, aside from a couple enhancement matches here and there. So I would like to see them win, but I am going to go with the good guys here. One more for the good guys. Shout out to Scott Hall, rest in peace. That's a great quote from him when he was in the Wolfpack. But I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with Jericho, Hurt Syndicate, and the Elite. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the other way around and the bad guys get a victory here, but I'm going to go with the good guys in this run. That's my prediction for that. So we're going to move on. We're going to go to the 4-way title match for the Women's World Championship. Tekla defends against Hikaru Shida, Jamie Hayter, and Chris Statlander. Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida have a little thing going on here where it looks like Hikaru Shida is having a change in personality, and Chris Statlander is still searching for who she truly is as a character. I mean, she's doing the alien stuff, she's doing the silent assassin stuff, and now I don't really know what she is. She's kind of searching for her identity, and Hikaru Shida seems to be getting a little bit more edge to her character. No pun intended there. Tekla, I think she's fantastic. She's very entertaining. She cuts great promos. I think that there's still some length to her title reign that they need, and I think that she gets the victory here, although I would love to see Jamie Hayter come out here on top. I don't know if necessarily it's the right time, considering she is in a tag team with Alex Windsor, and I really can't see Hikaru Shida or Chris Statlander coming out victorious, so I'm going to go with Tekla here, and I think it does further split Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander up. It'll be interesting to see where they go after that. I think they could feud for the TBS title. That's up for grabs now because it was forfeited by Willow Nightingale after she got injured, and she's probably going to need surgery. So they could, keep that feud going and lead that up into a TBS title match or something, or maybe they're participants in like an overall multi-person match for that title. Well, that remains to be seen. But I got Tekla coming out victorious here. I think when Mercedes Moné comes back, she's probably going to be a fan favorite, or at least they're going to try to position her that way. And I mean, I'd love to see her step across the ring against Tekla. I think they put some great stuff together as far as like what they would say in the moments leading up to their match and the match itself. Tekla's coming out victorious in my opinion. Samoa Joe, he's in the quarterfinal of the Men's Owen Hart Cup, and his opponent will be the Bird of Prey, Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay using a new finishing submission hold called the Death Ground. and using the Death Riders, or at least utilizing the Death Riders rather, so that he can get his edge back. He can get another Edge reference. That's the second one today, so maybe there'll be more. Who knows? But they're trying to establish him as more of a killer. They're trying to get his neck healthy. It's interesting that Will Ospreay is utilizing the very guys that tried to destroy him to help him. That is an anime type of a storyline, if you've ever heard of one. And I think it leads to, at some point, Jon Moxley testing Will Ospreay as in the form of a match to see if he truly is ready to go after that world title. And I think Will Ospreay comes out victorious in that match. So I don't see why Will Ospreay wouldn't become victorious in this match against Samoa Joe. The question is he going to tap Samoa Joe out? Because I think that would be something of note if he was able to submit Samoa Joe, something that a lot of individuals really couldn't do. So it'd be a testimony to AEW if they're trying to establish Will Ospreay in this new role as more of a ground and pound submission specialist now that he's working with the Death Riders, to forcefully cause Samoa Joe to lose the match by tap out, pass out, or submission. It's going to be interesting, but I would love to see them do that for the sake of Will Ospreay's character. And I think another thing that they could do going forward is that Will Ospreay starts to lose himself in this kind of a character. He becomes too dark even for his own good, and he has a come to Jesus moment right before he has to wrestle Kenny Omega. And the winner of that match potentially could go on to face the world champion at All In. I think there's a lot of different ways you can go with this. I think there's a lot of parallels that could be drawn between Will Ospreay and Swerve, where Swerve says, you're trying to cultivate something that I was born with. I have this and you don't, and you're trying to fake it, and I'm going to call you out on it. I think there's a lot that they could toy with that type of a style, because Swerve is unhinged. He is unpredictable. He has that wild side, and Will Ospreay is getting it cultivated through a stable that can he really trust? Do they have his best interest at heart? I see a lot of parallels with Karate Kid, at least the third film in that regard as well, with Terry Silver trying to get the Karate Kid to kind of lure him away from Mr. Miyagi. So I see that in this story, and I think that it could play out really, really well, especially if Will Ospreay starts to get a 5 o'clock shadow and he starts to use heelish tactics and really, start to step away a little bit from who he is before he realizes, guys, I messed up. I'm losing myself a little bit. And who better to talk to him at that point than Hangman Adam Page, who knows about that really, really well. So they got something interesting. I'm very intrigued. I did a video about it. I'm very intrigued by where they go with this story, and I'd like to see how it plays out. But I got Will Ospreay coming out victorious here. Moving on, you got, speaking of Swerve, he's also in the quarterfinal of the men's Owen Hart Cup tournament. He's going to be wrestling Bandito. Now, they've been trying to build this up as a grudge match, and I don't think a whole lot of people are buying it. I don't think a whole lot of people are interested in the way that this story has been set up for this match. However, I got Swerve coming out victorious. I think a good underdog pick, if you were inclined, would be to pick Bandito, because it is possible he can come out on top. But I really do see Swerve and Will Ospreay in the finals here. I could be wrong, and they could swerve us and hit us with a couple of surprises, which is what Tony Khan has been doing recently. But I'm going to take the safe bet, and I'm going to go with Swerve Strickland to come out on top here. In another women's Owen Hart Cup quarterfinal match, it's Athena against Mina Shirakawa. Athena's just so dang good, man. She's just super good. And I wish she got more television time, so I'll take what I can get at this point. I think her and Mina are going to put on a really good match. I'd like to see Mina come out on top just to further the story that she has currently in the women's division. But I'm going to go with Athena here because I'm just a big fan of Athena, and she deserves her flowers, and I'd like to see her move on in the Owen Hart Cup tournament to really prove that she can be something of a top star in AEW, even though she is the ROH Women's Forever Champion. I got Athena coming out on top on this one. She's going to be moving on in the tournament. In a grudge match, this match will have no time limit for the Continental Championship. Jon Moxley defends his title against Kyle O'Reilly. Now, the story going into this is Kyle O'Reilly has had Jon Moxley's number as far as submissions, as far as that ankle lock, for a while now. He's beaten him a couple of times, and most recently they had this match and it went to a time limit draw right before it looked like Jon Moxley was going to submit to that ankle lock. So they're telling a story here that's really interesting, which could elevate Kyle O'Reilly in the process. However, as far as the outcome of this match, I really do see Jon Moxley winning. And the reason why I see him winning, number one, is because he's training Will Ospreay. And in order to set up the inevitable Will Ospreay-Jon Moxley match, he can't lose. Moxley cannot lose to Kyle O'Reilly here. He actually has to overcome an obstacle that he hasn't been able to defeat in Kyle O'Reilly. I think the story there is that Jon Moxley can tell Will Ospreay, if I can do this with Kyle O'Reilly, then you can do this with me. Well, that sounded crazy, but you get what I'm saying, right? I mean, Will Ospreay needs to see something in Jon Moxley that helps him overcome an odd. And I think Jon Moxley overcoming this match against Kyle O'Reilly, a match where he's come up short a couple times, is the story. So I got Jon Moxley coming out victorious. Finally, title versus hair for the AEW World Championship. Darby Allin defends against MJF. I did a video on Darby Allin's story, so if you've watched that video, you should check, you understand where I'm coming from, and if not, you should definitely check it out after this one. I go extensive detail about why I have no problem with Darby Allin's run as it is currently. I did nitpick a couple of things that I would have done a little bit better, but that's just generally speaking. I am not Tony Khan, and I'm not a wrestling booker, so I would have no idea how that would actually be effective. But I definitely talked about it, and you should check it out and let me know what you think of that video in the comments after the end of this video. Help your brother out. But as far as this match goes, you've seen it. Darby Allin has been going in the sixth gear and going full throttle now for about 6 weeks. He's condensed a 6-month AEW World title reign into 6 weeks. And he's just been doing a lot of things where I'm really shocked that he's still able to walk the next day. I mean, it's insane. Jumping off of stages, jumping off of balconies, getting suplexed on the stairs, and just crazy shit, just the craziest shit. I think that it really does nothing but help MJF become more victorious in this match, because we know that going into this, Darby Allin is not going to be 100%. And it's just a fact. And I think that you can see Darby Allin succumbing to something that MJF does that's considered heelish. And so I am going to go with MJF to come out this match victorious. I think you're going to see a lot of different AEW World Champions this year in 2026. I don't think you're going to see a lot of long title reigns. And I think that's really healthy, considering, like I said before at the beginning of this video, how healthy their upper mid-card and upper card talent is that are kind of like circling around the main event. And I think with MJF, you have an array of people that he can defend against, that he's going to be more selective about who he's going to defend it against, whereas Darby Allin was like, all are welcome here. Anybody can get it, and anybody did get it, and Darby Allin was victorious and put on a lot of exciting matches on AEW programming that I was very impressed with. The amount of endurance required to wrestle like 3 times in a week, for instance, on television matches for the world title at a high clip like Darby Allin has done, has been nothing short of extraordinary. But after he loses to MJF, I believe the guy's going to need a break, because I really think he pushed himself to the limit. And a lot of those matches were nail biters, man. They really have you on the edge of your seat, because you're wondering if Darby Allin's going to walk out of this alive. And it's crazy that he ends up walking out of this alive and coming back. But with this match with MJF, I really don't see it, you guys. I got MJF coming out victorious. I think it makes more sense to inevitably build towards MJF against Will Ospreay at All In. It's just what I see, you guys. But that's what I see. You guys let me know in the comments what you see. Is it going to be Will Ospreay against MJF? So does that mean you got MJF coming out victorious? Will Ospreay moving up in the Owen Hart Cup tournament? Let me know in the bottom down below in the comments, you guys. And again, this is the Portal of Pro Wrestling. I am the Wrestling Old Head. If you like this video and more, especially this Darby Allin video that I put out a couple of days ago, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It is free, y'all. It's a handshake agreement that you're going to be here on this wild ride with me talking about professional wrestling right outside of this portal. And if you like this video, hit the notifications bell, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up, because it helps out with the algorithm to push these products out to the most amount of people it can, because right now I'm slanging wrestling opinions and business is booming. It's the Wrestling Old Head, you guys. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.